6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cooking the Books. Trying to work on my intro because I was like, I don't actually say the name of the show. It's kind of weird. Like, why wouldn't I do that? I should be better at this. So that was my practice run. It sucked, but is what it is.
All right.
Happy to be here. Had fun watching the movie with everyone that was able to make it in Discord. Happy to be here with Dom as our special guest. It was actually his idea to kind of chit chat about it and compare it to the film. So I figured he could be our first guest. Devil was sort of the guest the first time we did the Let It Simmer, but he was kind of my helping out in the background for all of this. So he was like a pseudo guest first time around.
Devil's the best, but baby roots suck.
Yes, that's true.
See if he's in the chat.
No, he's working right now.
Oh, okay.
He would actually be here with us. So, but it's good to see you, Dom. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Good to see you, Gal. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, let's try to chat here soon. Dom's a little nervous, so be nice, guys.
Can you tell?
At least be as nice to him as you would me or just him when he's in chat. But let's say hi to chat. And of course, the first one here, as pretty much always, as long as Larry doesn't hear me, that might summon him, but he was not the first. Hi, Legatus. How's it going? And then Clinton. Hello, my friend.
Hey, Clinton.
I'm pretty sure you mean you're helping dog sit for friends, but the dog could need extra help. Who knows? But it's good to see you here, Clinton, if you can still hear us with your spotty service.
I know Sam's a big fan. He's a big fan of cats, right?
He is a big fan of cats. It's really hard for him to admit it, but I help him every day now. So
yeah,
we're all good. Yeah. You should help me with it. Or help me with it.
Sure.
Whatever.
I'm kind of like so-so on cats. I'm more of a dog person.
Oh, I'm a dog person that has 3 cats, so
Oh,
I can understand it. I'm just an animal person, but
yeah.
hail, Sam. I'm sorry you're dealing with hail and possible twister activity. I hope you stay safe and in service. Yeah, take care of yourself. Message me if anything, if you need anything. Yes, I do agree with that. Hail to Devil for that intro, my man. Yes, Legatus Dom does have a face.
You're gonna see my Twitter profile. You can, or my YouTube. Wait,
They're kind of
my
small
YouTube.
pictures.
Ah,
And you've been on a weight loss journey.
yes.
So, hi, Selena. Welcome, my
Hey, Selena.
friend. All right. I'm looking. Oh, there's Kel. Hello. You are a little
Kel.
late, but it's okay, Kel. I forgive you.
Better late than never, like they always say.
Exactly. Thanks. You're the best. You guys are awesome. I appreciate all of you. I'm just going to show this because it's funny to tease you. We all know that you're lying. We all know that you're lying. And especially on the last part, because I am a saint. So. All right. What do you say we get started here, huh?
Let's go.
How I'm basically have a couple of topics and we'll interact with you guys in chat, see what your opinions are. Did everybody get a chance to watch it? Like, you know, I'm a teacher giving you an assignment or anything. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you've seen it. It's kind of funny because I hadn't seen it in a while. So after immediately having the book on my brain, some of the things happening, I'm like, wait a minute, that's a little different. What the heck? But I still enjoy the movie.
Yeah, there's definitely some differences in the movie compared to the book.
Yeah. So, Dom, what did you think about? I'm just going to start out talking about the characters and like the differences and just overall, like, what is your feeling? Do you prefer the character in the book versus the movie? Anything like that? What thoughts? Start out with John Carter, the main man. Yeah.
John Carter. I think I like him in the movie better. Kind of like the journey. How to put this? Well, let's look in the beginning, like how he gets to Mars. I like how that's explained in the movie better with the medallion going Barsoom 3 times, and then like in the book, it's kind of like not explained. Like he has an out of body experience, and he just looks at Mars and he just goes there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it is kind of like is kind of weird.
I like that better in the movie explained. Even though those characters, the Therns, they're not in the book. They're not in the book, or at least not in the first one.
Right. Yeah. They don't talk about them at all in the first one, which I haven't watched. I haven't read the books after the first one, so it'd be interesting to be able to compare. So maybe I'll read the book either on my own or do another stream, cooking the books with it, but like the next books.
But both book and the movie, John Carter is he's like pretty strong. He has like superhuman abilities because the gravity and the low pressure. He can jump really far. He's really strong.
Yeah, I feel like I think they explained it more in the book where his bone density is like makes him lighter. Like there's a less dense, whatever. And then like it adds strength to it, which is kind of interesting because you would think that the bone density being lower would take away his strength there, but yeah, I kind of question those things. But like, I feel like with John, there's not much difference between like his story arc versus the book in the movie. Like he's basically the same character. He's got a little bit of a difference in his background story, but I feel like he's very heroic and very honorable. It gets explained more in the book, but books kind of tend to do that because they have the ability to do so. You only have so long to create the story for a movie versus a book. You can make it the length that you want and be able to explain things as long as you need, you feel. But overall, yeah, I think I don't know if I'd say that I do prefer him in the movie versus the book. It's kind of because he's such a similar character.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of tough with him. I don't know.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Like, so in the book, like he's just kind of on his own. In the movie, they show he has a family with his wife and child getting murdered.
Yeah.
Like it's always in his back of his mind thinking about that, especially in that big fight scene he has defending Deja. So
You can just say Deja.
Deja and Sola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That what I find interesting about that fight scene is it's not like it's very different from the book. But this I feel like it's very different, but it has certain similarities that kind of get the same point across. So like he's being dogpiled by the Warhoons, and you don't really know who the Warhoons are in the film. They're just like another tribe of the Green Martians. But in the book, they explain it a lot more. Same limitations, essentially, with a movie versus a book.
Because he gets captured in the book by the Warhoons, and he gets thrown to their battlefield. But in the movie, he gets captured by the Darks, and but it's in their battlefield instead. And Tarkus is in there, which he's not in the battlefield in the book. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's interesting that the different like battles and the differences that come up with it, but overall with John, I feel like his character is not too different. I honestly feel like I might like his character more in the book, and I think a lot of that has to do with like one of the key differences that I noticed, and when we were doing our commentary while watching the movie, is the way he learns the language in the book. I much prefer that over the movie.
I agree with you there. Yeah. Because it's like explained better more in the movie. Like they just give him water. It's kind of like a
it's this special drink that it's language juice. Thanks. What the hell is that? It was pretty dumb to me in the movie. But
is that would you say it's kind of like a lazy way of doing it, or like they just kind of want to speed it up? I don't know.
No, it's a good question, and I definitely think that it's a 2-hour and 12-minute film, I think. And they could have easily done like a little montage, like I mentioned while we were watching it. It has a lot of similarities with The Last Samurai, and the way they do it in The Last Samurai, like they started it very similar, where he knew the language of the Native Americans. Same with John Carter, and with The Last Samurai, you haven't seen it yet, right?
No, I haven't seen it.
They just do like a few scenes in kind of like a montage of him picking up on specifics of the language, and then also one of the children showing him. So he's able to learn, like he speaks it like a school child, of course, because he hasn't been speaking it his whole life. But like it's just really easy ways that are pretty quick to show that he's learning the language based off of like his intelligence level versus just, oh, here, drink this. Now you understand us. Yeah.
Wait, another thing with John Carter, because you kind of like, when I brought this up in the movie night, you kind of yelled at me.
Probably because you're about to give something away and someone hadn't seen it.
So Colonel, what's his name? Powell? Like his friend in the book, but in the movie, he's like, they're trying to get him back into the army, right?
Yeah.
So like, what'd you like think of that? Like, was that kind of a big deal for you, or? Like,
I actually
refer him as a friend, or like.
I was gonna bring it up when we talk about like the key differences versus the characters, but it's fine. No. It's fine. We'll have a good flow to the conversation anyway. I actually prefer the way they did it in the movie. Because the way the book starts out is they're just kind of like in the thick of it. They're just running and find the cave. In the like in the movie, they preface it with, oh, he's just hunting for gold. He's kind of selfish about it and very gruff, and he doesn't want anything to do with anybody. He just wants to live his life, because you can kind of tell, like, they show his wedding ring and everything. Like, he was married. He obviously lost them, and it's kind of a tragic backstory. So I prefer that to the book. So that's what I find the most interesting about this film versus the books, not that I've read the next ones, is they kind of expanded on the characters a bit. And I just don't know if later on in the books, if it's going to like ruin any lore with that. But I still think it's a good movie overall.
Yeah, I really enjoy the movie. It's a shame it did bad at the box office.
Yeah, it is. But I don't want Disney to try and redo or do any sequels or anything.
Yeah, fuck Disney, right?
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yes, I don't care. Take me down, because I'm talking about John Carter Disney. So what do you think about Deja Thoris?
Deja,
like as a character,
like,
versus, like, did you like her story arc better in the book for like her marriage? Like, what do you think about the differences there?
So when they first meet her in the book, she's on like a scientific experiment researching, and they kind of like shoot her down and get her captured. But kind of in the movie, but she's like kind of running away, and but they capture her. The dogs capture. They both capture her either way, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna. I like her in the movie. Well, maybe just
that's because you can visualize.
Yeah, it's Lynn Collins, right?
See, and I actually think I like her better in the book for the most part, mainly because, like you say, she was just running away, and like in the film, and the reason she's running away is because she's running away from a prearranged marriage to stop the war. And in the book, she's not running away; she just gets captured. And when the marriage comes into fruition, like the talks of it, she's actually volunteering herself so as to save her people. And she thought that John had died. So she lost her love, and she really had no other choice, because he was gone, was not going to be able to help her with her problems. And her problems were still there while he was not. So I feel like it's a
I come
it's
around
a better character build for her.
I think I brought that in the YouTube chat to you, and I said like, "Oh, she's kind of like a bitch," but I came around to.
Well, no, and I can totally understand you thinking that, because
I come around to it. I understand from her perspective.
Well, from a guy's perspective, just in general. So, like, you don't really know her motivations behind it. She had just said that she's in love with him. Like, he says, "I love you," and basically she turns around and is just like, "No, I'm gonna marry this other dude." Yeah. But it's because she thought that he was dead. So, like,
she wants to save her. Understand that. She wants to save her people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, on the books,
who showed up?
Oh, it's Ryan.
I like how that's his comment too. Yes, Don is my special guest.
What's going on, Ryan?
We want to compare the film to the book, so. And Andy Pickle, hello. I'll get to the chat here in a little bit to see what you guys think of the characters too. So.
Okay. One more thing. So like in in the book, that's her grandfather, right? But in the movie, that's her father, right? Do I get that right?
Well, so that's another thing. They take out some characters completely from the film that are in the book. So when you meet her family, the leader, the Jeddak, is her grandfather. And then it might be he's the Jed, and then the Jeddak, whichever. Her dad's still in the picture in the book. He's just like a lord, essentially, because his father is still on the throne. But in the film, it's just her father. Her grandfather's not involved. So it's slightly different, but it's not too much of a difference. Like, I can understand why they would do that.
Yeah, that's not a big deal, no.
Yeah. But I mean, that was my main thing. Was I prefer Deja in the book because of that story arc where she's in this marriage that she doesn't want to be involved with at all. And she handles it better from my perspective, because you're a princess in the film. You learn that you have to get married and you run away from it. What's the reason for you getting married? To stop your people being completely destroyed by war. Like that. Stick it out, woman. Like, suck it up. You're a princess. The planet may love you. I get that, but you're still a princess, and you're probably going to be married off. Like,
she believes she can do another way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I get that, and they kind of make her a little bit of a girl boss in the film, which in 2012 it wasn't as prominent. So I didn't think of it much, like, when I first watched it. So I didn't really care so much because, like, I am not a girl boss fan unless they fucking earn it. Like, every other dude has to earn shit in life. Like, why women can't is so irritating.
Yeah.
But I do prefer the way she was written in the book, because she's not running away from her problems. She's researching for the planet, which she does her research in the film as well. And they kind of expand upon that, which I do prefer that storyline more in the film. It's
like she's like a scientist, right? Like she's like really smart.
She's like a professor or something, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think he keeps calling her professor for a while, but yeah. But overall, like, I definitely prefer her in the book. I mean, she's very nice to look at in the film. So if you don't have a good imagination,
that's probably
the visuals of the film, I understand.
That's probably the main reason why I pick.
All right, I'm going to say hello to anybody who's trickled in. And I do want to mention, pinned at the top of the chat is my stream elements. If anyone is interested in sending any funds, you do not have to at all. I appreciate anything that you can give if you want them. But let's say hello. We said hi to Ryan, and I think Andy Picklehead came in.
Someone give her $100.
No. Oh, Lord.
And she would say, "Let's go Yankees."
Let's see. Legatus, you can tell the author was more military, describing the metal, the various. Yeah, definitely. Very little detail. Well, I mean, half of them, like, what in the book, they just don't wear clothing, which I found interesting.
He's naked in the book when he comes to Mars.
Really, Kel? That's interesting. I liked him as John Carter. It's like, can you expand on that, Kel? Like, is there a reasoning behind why you didn't like Taylor? Because I enjoyed him as John Carter. I mean, he's very nice to look at, so maybe that's where my bias is coming from.
So you have the same feeling with him?
Oh, absolutely. In Star Trek, they did many stories where the greater the gravity muscles, the greater the muscles and bones density needs to be more common. Right, which that's why I question it. So, like, he has lesser bone density, so he can jump, but it also comes with power. Like, it's kind of counterintuitive for me, but the higher muscle density due to greater gravity and pressure on Earth that gives Carter his strength. Burrow wrote the character before ultrasound. Okay, I'll accept that, Sam. Thank you. I do like this comment. John Carter is pretty good for a movie. It's stellar for a Disney movie. Yeah, it's true.
Good old Disney.
Yes, and see, that is very true. The best way to learn a language fluently is total immersion in the culture. And, like, there's an easy way to show that in the film, rather than just making him drink this magic juice. Yeah. Movie chopped too many storylines together, but it did set up the more. Yeah, if only the marketing. It's the unfortunate part. And then, Andy, what did you have to say? Burroughs had strange ideas when it came to learning the language. Tarzan was taught by a Dutch man to speak English, but to read and write in Dutch. That's interesting. Added the nephew that occurs. Well, actually, so I had written that down earlier. I believe, I love when I do that. Sorry, guys. In the beginning, like, the person that's telling us the story, Andy, is, I believe, his nephew. He's reading the journal at the time.
Yeah, I think it's similar in the book and the movie, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty
That's
sure
right.
it's his nephew. But yep, athletic man whom I called Uncle Jack. So Ned is in it, but that's one thing that's a major difference that I picked up on between the book and the film. Like, you know, from the beginning, basically, that Ned is the one reading the story. You don't really have to call back to that, but I feel like you should in the book call back to it, because as I was reading it to y'all, it didn't stick in my memory that, oh yeah, we're being told this story from a journal that his nephew is reading. Like, when I sat and thought about the differences, that was one of the main things. I was like, oh yeah, this was being read to us by Ned. So I found that interesting.
Yeah.
Technically, he is in there, but only for a brief moment.
Yeah, he had more of a role in the movie. Oh, like a little bit more.
Yeah. Dutchman knowing English isn't that unbelievable. That's oh, hello, your average patriot nerd. Where are you at today?
Right.
Well, you don't have to dock your truck. Hope you're driving safely, my friend. It's good to see you. And let's see, a fun fact from Sam. He's good at providing these. Lynn Collins, Deja Thoris, was also in X-Men Origins Wolverine, along with Taylor Kitsch.
Oh wow, really?
Really? What were their characters? It's been so long since I saw that terrible film. Oh, so you're one of those people that doesn't like Keanu Reeves because he was in Bill and Ted's Adventures, huh? Is that like why? Because I do know someone that can't stand Keanu Reeves, which I judge her harshly for, by the way. Like, he has some acting chops because he starts out as Bill and Ted, whatever, and he has done a lot of different stories. There's a lot of films out there that people don't know that he's in, and I think they're great. Like, there's even a friggin' romance one that he's in, Walk in the Clouds, I think. Like, and he does really well in that. So, I mean, he doesn't have the range of friggin' Gary Oldman, right? But I still think he's a pretty good actor. So Taylor, he hasn't done much for me to know how good of an actor he is for his range, but I can understand that, Kel. No judgment. I do appreciate your opinion on it. I think someone, I don't know who that is.
Someone like,
let me look that up.
Got me on that.
Well, you know what? Me looking this up isn't really going to help me because I already have Taylor Kitsch in my head as John Carter. So I guess that doesn't really help you. Because I see that photo, I'm like, no, he's not John Carter. Silver Fox and Gambit. Oh, I do remember someone saying that he was Gambit. Okay, thank you. Watch Hell on Wheels. He's in that. He's awesome. Okay, I will add that to my ever-growing list. But let's see. There's some other characters that do have differences. Did you pick up on one, like, it was a pretty major difference, was Taz Haljus?
Yeah.
Taj Haljus, whatever.
Okay, so it's like good. I was going to ask how you say his name. But
yeah.
It's hard to say.
I can't quite remember the freaking Haljus. I know,
I
but
can't say it too.
First. Yeah. Whatever. Unimportant. So what? So did you pick up who he was in the film? Because it's not really emphasized.
Like his position, positioning,
like which character he was.
So in the book, he's the leader of. He's the leader, right? Wait, do I have the same character?
He is.
Yes. Yeah, okay. In the movie, he's not the leader. Taurus Tarkus is right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And in the film, he's actually the guy that hates Taurus Tarkus and works with Sarkoja. So they kind of
taking him down.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Taurus Tarkus, I feel he's pretty similar character between the film and the book. Like, he's not exactly a normal Thark, and John Carter fascinates him, and John also teaches him things, like different ways to
they have
live and like be friends, like what friends are and things like that. But with Taj Haljus, like the story was changed because Taurus Tarkus in the film actually knows that Sola is his daughter, whereas it's reversed in the book where Sola is the one that knows the story. I actually think I prefer the way they do it in the film
Really?
for that storyline. Do you like the book?
I like the book version better.
Yeah.
Because because Tars Tarkas is like, he's holding him up and he's like kind of just figures out like that.
Oh yeah.
And then
I can understand that.
But Sola, she gives like a more like brief backstory to it.
Mhm.
I just like the storytelling that she gives, like to explain it better.
I can appreciate that because it does give a better like love story type of feel to it. Whereas in the film, it's more just I was married to her mother, whatever. Like we had a child together, and she just kept her egg, and that was it. So I can understand that, and I could probably be convinced it's not. Like if we were to discuss it, I could change my mind to where I prefer it in the book. It also just depends on my mood. I feel like, am I going to be in a girly love story mood or action film non-girly mood?
Going back, you can go back and forth.
Back and forth, yeah. I'll waffle a bit. But it does lead to them making that major change in who knows. Also makes it to where Taz Jus in the book is no longer the leader that Tars Tarkas has a goal to destroy because he destroyed the love of his life. And in the film, he's just a lower level Thark who wants the Jeddak role that Tars Tarkas holds. And the reason I prefer that is mainly because I like that Tars Tarkas was too kindly to hold that role when it comes to the minds of the Tharks. And there was kind of like this them butting heads situation, but the people already had their Jeddak, so they didn't really want to stand with Taz Jus until Tars Tarkas showed his weakness in such a big way by letting them go.
Let him go, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of showed like the dynamic of like a war-torn people and the way that they think. Like they're not really going to want to change all that much who their leader is unless their leader shows a weakness. And that's technically how they did it in the book too, because they supported Tars Tarkas after it was pointed out that Taz Jus hadn't shown his prowess in a very long time. Like after that battle, he wasn't on the front lines. Tars Tarkas was.
Yeah.
And so like the similarities and the differences, I feel like they're a good balance the way the film was made, but I do slightly prefer that story in the film.
Like he's kind of described as like a fat, lazy person.
Yeah, in the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I read
and
that.
I mean, he kind of was, because Tars Tarkas like knocked him out with one punch, and it was done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I agree. I like the movie better, where Tars Tarkas is the leader at first. So he wants to challenge him, but the people were kind of like nah. But once like he lets all the Sola and John Carter and Deja all go to the river of Is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of upsets all the people, and then they have a duel, and how do you say his name? Say his name.
Taz Jus.
Yeah, so he beats him in that one.
Yep.
Yeah, and he comes the leader. But in the book, when they fight, Tars Tarkas wins.
Yeah. Yep. Sarkosia. Do you? I mean, I hate the bitch. whether it be the film or the book, I do not like this character.
I can say right off the bat, I like the film because she gets an awesome death scene.
Yeah.
She gets cut in half by the White Ape.
Mm-hmm. And like in the book, she kind of gets let off easy. Like, bitch, you better run.
Yeah.
And then she leaves and disappears. Never seen again. Yeah. And I definitely prefer the way they handle her better in the film. But I like her character more in the book, because you get a little bit more of her and a feel for how evil she truly is, because she is just all out, true a Thark, a warrior woman that does not accept any sort of weakness and wants to destroy it when she sees it. or any changes and differences. Like, I feel like she has more of a character in the book than the film, but I do prefer how they handled the character in the film, for sure.
Oh yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
she's a bitch either way in the book or movie.
Now, what do you think of Sob Thon?
Okay, sorry. So that's like the bad guy.
Yeah, like the ultimate.
Yeah,
good
he wants to
guy.
marry. Yeah, he wants to
Yeah.
marry Deja. So
You don't get a lot of him in the book, really.
yeah,
Um,
get more in the movie because he's with
Yeah.
They show him. He starts off and like with
Mhm.
the Derns giving him the medallion. So
Yeah.
you get more. You see him a lot more in the movie than compared to the book.
Yeah. How do you feel about him as like a bad guy? Like, do you prefer him in the book or the film?
Maybe the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do too. And that's mainly because like he's just truly evil. His motivations are just to be evil. He wants to destroy everything and rule over everything.
Because he wanted to use the medallion, and like the Derns wouldn't let him. He goes, "What's the point of me having this if I can't use this?" At one point, he tells them.
Well, and like the moment that he gets that weapon and figures it out, like it's on his arm, he immediately tries to destroy them. Like he's like, "Oh, cool, a new weapon, bam!" But they anticipated it because they knew the type of character he was. I feel like in the book, he was kind of a nothing character to me. I didn't like him at all. Hi, SF Gaming, welcome. So I personally prefer him in the film just because he's a more in-depth character. I don't even really think there's an arc to him, and you don't really need it. He's just evil. And I prefer to see villains be villains that way. So
I can see that, yes.
Yeah.
You didn't mention Woola yet.
Well, don't rush. Don't rush me. I was actually gonna not Sabthan, Kantos Khan. That was gonna be the next one I wanted to bring up. Because I feel like he has a lot more of a story in the book. So he's kind of like the opposite of Sabthan, where in the film, he doesn't really have much of a character. He's comedic effect, honestly. Did you get that feeling, or do you feel differently than I do?
No, I get that feeling because, like, in the book, he gets captured by the Warhoons with John, and they kind of form like a friendship.
Yeah.
And so they get thrown in that battlefield, and like they kill everybody, and like so it has to come down to one last person.
Mm-hmm.
So they come up with this thing where it's like, let's just board the people and wait till dark, and you can pretend to kill me.
Yeah.
And so he sticks the sword in the side, and they agreed to like meet up later on.
Mm-hmm.
Cause he's looking for Deja too.
Yes, right. Because she's his princess, and he is devoted, just like the rest of the planet, or Helium. Hi, Mud Crab. Welcome. I'm glad the dentist let you out, didn't hold you hostage. We're just chit-chatting about the differences between the characters and kind of like the key story differences right now. So I definitely prefer Kantos Khan in the book.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like I think I told you guys when we first started, or when right before we saw him in the film when we were watching, I had mentioned that I was remembering just then that he was in the film, because when we were reading about his character, I'm like, oh, I don't think he was in the film, and he definitely was, but it was barely. So
I kind of got that feeling too. I'm like, was he in the film? And then I kind of rewatched him. Like, oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, Mr. Rush Me Through My Character List. What do you think of Woola? Do you think he's better in the film or in the books?
Is there really much difference? I guess, just seeing him, I guess so. I gotta say the film.
You prefer him in the film?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. There's not much difference. He is a very loyal dog. Alien, but still a dog.
I mean, well, he saves John's butt both in the movie and book, so
yeah.
I feel there's not much difference between them, so it's hard to pick for that. I would say.
I definitely agree. So Woola is my favorite character, hands down.
Yes.
In the book, they do give a better explanation as to why he's so loyal. But it's not that different. It's just kind of where it's a book, you can add more. Like you can lengthen the story, give it an actual arc. So yes, he saves him, but he also loves him and shows him affection and treats him a certain way to get his affection in return. Whereas the film, like a couple of scenes basically do that. It's not necessarily bad that they do it quicker. It's really easy to show that he's an alien dog and dogs are fiercely loyal. And you don't necessarily need that length. So I don't really have a preference between book to film. I enjoy the story in the book, but I do like how he saves him when he's trying to leave Zodanga. Yeah, so Woola, hands down, best character, favorite. We did mention Ned briefly. You don't really get a lot of him in the book, like I said. So I feel like that was one of like the major key differences that I picked up on was you get kind of like a beginning and an end with Ned or Edgar, his nephew, like in the film, which is you're probably not going to get away with it safely if you didn't do that, like bookending it, where you start with him and then, okay, he finished reading up to that point, so we got to end it somehow. So I appreciate how they did that and why they did that in the film. So he's kind of just a smaller character that you don't really get a lot of. I feel like you'd probably get a little more in the books, but he's not even really meant to be much of a character, even with Burroughs and how he wrote the story. So
yeah. Could we go back to a character because I want to bring up?
No.
Yes.
What character would you like to return to, Dom?
the guy I can't pronounce.
Taz Haljus. I'm just making it up. They don't really say it very well in the film.
Okay. No, I want to ask your opinion. Like, so in the what do you think of his death scene, like in the movie? Like, did you want more of like a fight scene between him and John Carter, or are you kind of like okay with him like just kind of dying right away?
So
he doesn't have. He has the high ground. He dies.
I actually I don't mind it in the film the way he dies, mainly because he doesn't really do anything in the book. Like, there's not really a fight. It's just Tars Tarkas kills him with like one punch.
Yeah.
That's basically what happens in the film. I did find it interesting that they made John Carter be the one that becomes the Jeddak instead of Tars Tarkas. But because the way they did it, Tars Tarkas was already the Jeddak. He lost that role, and he kind of just becomes more of an advisor. Yeah. He essentially is Dotar Soja for John Carter. So I did find it interesting that they changed that. But I enjoyed that fight scene for what it was, just because it was just like, I don't have time for this. I'm just going to kill you. Like, you're going to be stupid enough to jump at me from the stands. Like, I got this weapon, bitch. Like, I've already shown that I can kill y'all motherfuckers. So I didn't mind it. Did you not like it, or what are your thoughts on it?
Maybe I want a little of a fight scene. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can understand that. You are a dude too, so.
What's that supposed to mean?
It just means like it's an action. It's an action scene, and you want more action scenes than just like a one and done.
Yeah.
I could see that. From just the perspective of where they're at in the film, though, I feel it is also helpful to quickly get rid of the man because you need to quickly stop the wedding. Yeah. So if you think about it in those terms, even John's brain was just like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make this a show fight, and he's being stupid by jumping at me. So, like I mentioned.
I see your cat in the background.
Which one? I have 3.
The one's on camera right now. Yeah, it's probably like
so one of the things that I wanted to bring up was we talked about Deja's marriage and the cave and the lead up. Oh, we mentioned it earlier, like how he transfers from Earth to
Mars.
Mars.
Or
That was a major glaring issue for me in the book, at least. They allude to something in the end of the book where there was like green dust powder from like a woman that was dead in the cave. And so I think it has something to do with that, for the reason that he was faxed over essentially to Mars. But there's really no explanation in the first book. So it kind of got under my skin a little. I was just like, why? You gotta give me a little more, especially because you're the book. Tell me what happens. So I found it interesting. I liked how the film handled it, and it makes me wonder if that's how the rest of the series, you get more information on what happened. So like a retroactive explanation once John realizes what happened to get him there in the first place. That's kind of how I felt about it. But what did you think? Like, do you care how the book did it versus the movie?
Oh, 100%. I like the movie better. I didn't like the book at all. I wish they gave some explanation. It's not just what like I said earlier. Like he just has an out of body experience and looks at Mars. He just gets sucked there, and then like even should I even do I have to wait to say this? But I guess
No,
he gets how he gets sucked back to Earth by going into the air room. I can't remember. What's the control room?
Yeah.
He just opens the door. He gets sucked back to Earth. But,
yeah, basically.
Right?
Like,
so there's no explanation.
It's very weird, right?
Like silly. I don't know.
I wanted more as well, but also it's kind of a interesting way to end a book on a cliffhanger. Especially, obviously, I have books 1 through 7 all in that this one volume, and I could just turn the next page and start reading. But back then, when this first came out, that had to suck for people. That is a terrible cliffhanger to leave it off of. I mean, y'all in the chat kind of felt it because I didn't continue reading book 2, but
I think I said what a sad ending.
Yeah. So I found that. I definitely prefer how they did it in the film, and I think it's because that's probably what sort of happened, or it's like related to what happened in the books. The Therns have something to do with it, but the Therns aren't in the books yet. So it kind of takes away from that.
Could you explain the time? Because we said this in the movie. We watched in the movie night. The time lapse between. So in the movie, he gets sucked back. He gets sent back to Earth. He's there? Was that in the book?
So he was there. I don't know.
I'm confusing myself.
No. So time is different on Mars than Earth, because the way that the body decomposed of Colonel Powell is meant to show you how much time has passed while it's been like a week on Mars. Now, the book is slightly different because he's there for 10 years or 9 years. But at least in the film, they make it to where time works differently. So he could only over the 13 years, I think it was, that he was looking to find the amulet to go back, could only have been like another few days or another week to Deja and the rest of Mars. So it's interesting. When he leaves, there's no crisis. People aren't dying. They don't even mention in the film at all the machine that keeps the atmosphere.
Yeah, not at all.
So I did find that interesting. That's a major difference as well. So at least that's my understanding, is the time moves differently on Earth. So 10 years to them could be a day on Mars.
Okay.
That's at least how I understood it. I could be completely wrong and making that up out of whole cloth. I don't care. That's my headcanon then. Anyway.
I'll take your word.
Let's see. What else did I oh, John's family. That was the other thing that I didn't necessarily like in the film. because there's a specific passage in the book when he first sees Deja and realizes that he loves her basically on sight. He mentions that he's never had a family in the book.
Yeah. Yes.
Prior to that, and he never expected himself to. So I found that interesting that they would throw that in to the film. But that's also where I use he knows what it is to be a father. So he's seeing himself in Tars Tarkas and the fear that Tars Tarkas and concern he has for Sola to basically die because she messed up again, and how it infuriated Tars Tarkas. Like, he recognized a father's concern. So that is how again, my headcanon of why they put that difference in there is they need to show it because they wrote it this way. They need to be able to explain it. So they're going to give him a family and use the feelings and emotions that gives him in order to later on, like when he's fighting the Warhoons, use that to survive and protect the new love in his life. So
you weren't like a fan of him like showing his like his past family. You're saying.
Yeah, like initially I wasn't necessarily a fan of it. Like, I can understand why they did it because they wrote it a certain way for later on in the film. Obviously I don't know how they wrote the script. Like, okay, they did all of this. Well, that put us into a box. Or did they write it from the beginning that he had a family and then used it later? I don't know exactly how it happened, but I can see why they did it because of those reasons, just to show later on what happens, why he recognizes it. You don't necessarily need to be told that, oh, how did you know that she's my daughter?
I'm just turning the light on. Sorry.
Yeah, it is getting a little dark in there.
Yeah.
Friggin' East Coast. But that's a difference that I found interesting. Like, did you think anything of it? Like, did you have any issues with it, or didn't think it was a big deal?
No, it didn't bother me too much. Like, I guess, how do I put this? I guess showing his family didn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
I don't.
No worries. Like, if it didn't bother you, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just sometimes I put more thought into certain things that people don't pick up on. So I was just curious to see if you cared at all about it, and if you don't, it's totally fine.
But they don't. I guess they don't explain like how his family died though. They just kind of showed him like burying his. Maybe
so they allude to the fact that it was kind of like the war with the Native Americans.
Oh, okay.
He I think he mentioned he doesn't know and doesn't care who it was that burned down and killed the house and killed his family. Like, he doesn't care if it was the Apaches or if it was the army. He doesn't care. Like, it happened, and that part doesn't matter. So I found that that's at least what he stated, I think, if I recall correctly. But yeah, it was interesting, and it's very similar. I really, so whenever you find the chance to watch The Last Samurai, I would be interested to hear what you think, like, because they're very similar films. Let's just say.
Okay. I'm definitely gonna watch it then.
Yeah. Okay, I have to put Hell on Wheels on my list of movies before I forget. Let's see. I like Keanu's acting in some of his roles, just don't have him acting next to a powerhouse. Keanu is a black hole and Much Ado About Nothing. I never watched that. It's interesting though. Movies, Hell on Wheels. Yes.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
Okay, added, Kel. I will not forget now. I kind of figured, Clinton, but thanks for clarifying. That's a lot. That's big dogs, which are my favorite dogs. So you're lucky. Keanu shit in Dracula. Dracula. I didn't even know he was in that.
Got me there.
Sam's gonna be mad at me now. My bless was. Let's see. Mud Crab came in. That was the dentist. Doggo gets played a bit. Comic in the movie, all his speed running is a bit overdone. He's not the Flash. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Like, it was a little over the top with that for sure.
Who won in a race, Flash or Woola?
And yes, actually that's not even true, Mudcrab. Not all cats are furry. There's the ones that have no fur at all. I can't remember. Not Pyrenees. Siamese cats? Whatever. Doesn't matter. They're the ugly cats. Return next week. Same guy. Yeah, but I'm not continuing this story. I'm doing horror for the next genre, so.
Are we definitely going to read that in the future?
I don't know. Maybe. That's a lot of books, but I could read the next one and see if you guys want to do the whole series. Hell on Wheels is a series. Oh, I see. Very well. I'll still look into it. It's on my list. Now, overall thoughts. How do you feel about the story? Did you like it? Was it okay?
For like the movie or book, or just kind of, it's kind of similar.
Yeah. Like, give me a preference and let me know.
Why. Like I enjoyed it. Like, it's your typical action movie. Guy meets girl, he gets her, and he fights off all the bad people.
Everybody's happy.
So overall, I enjoyed them. It's a simple movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty basic story. Like, setting aside the complications of the minor details, but I agree.
One point, I think you brought this up when we were reading the book. Like, it's all coincidence how John Carter, he just gets all these promotions, right place, right time.
He's a bit OP. He's a bit OP, and that's across the book and the film. More so in the book because it's a lot of times where he just easily beats people. Slight exaggeration, of course.
Yeah.
But
he can take down armies down like that.
Mm-hmm. It helps that he's on a different planet and his body has an adjustment. So technically that it works.
Go back to your question. I guess overall I enjoyed it. Maybe give it a number. I said 7.5. I'll say out of 10.
And is that for the film or both combined, or just the book?
One like better. What would I say? Kind of say I would like the film better. The film a little better. I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I would give the film a 7.5 and maybe the book a 7.
It's very generous. I pretty much, after having rewatched the film, it has its issues and some corny things to it, to where I'd probably give both of them a 6, and a lot of it has to do with just I don't like the writing style. I know it was a different time. The run-on sentences of this book. It got under my skin a lot.
You struggle a little bit.
Yeah. And it's harder. If you don't put commas, I don't know that I need to pause for a moment and breathe, or the specific inflection that I might need to put on something. It makes it difficult to read out loud, definitely. So if I were reading to myself, it wouldn't be as difficult, but I would still have to go back the way I did when I was reading it to y'all. So that kind of that took away, which is funny because Sam, before I started reading it, before it won, when I did my sci-fi option poll, Sam I know he was grumpy about it because he wanted Frankenstein, which I'm pretty sure people are leaning to Frankenstein. So we'll see the next poll for the next book.
Damn, I'm going to vote just for you. I'm pretty confident it's gonna win.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I love the story. I really do. I enjoyed it, and I don't know. I don't know if I can say I prefer one over the other. I think probably the film is slightly higher for me compared to the book, but overall, I thoroughly enjoy the story. So I definitely want to keep reading the books. I probably will do that without you guys, but it's not like I can't go back and read it.
You're not allowed.
Your book list.
You're not allowed.
But I really appreciate you being here, Dom. This was a lot of fun.
Oh,
thanks for the idea. Yeah. Even though you cheated and went and watched the film in the middle of me reading the book to you guys.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Hope I did all right.
Yeah, you did great.
I was a little nervous.
Especially because you were nervous. Yeah, I could tell a little, but not a lot. You're fine. Let's see what Mudcrab says. Something nice about cats. You trying to talk me out of it. I wasn't trying to talk you out of it, Mud. I was just correcting you because factually it was a little incorrect. Mini movie versions. Of what? Legatus. There's only been one John Carter film.
Yes.
Y'all will see. It's only going to be 3 options that you have to choose from. So, all right, guys. Well, next week I'm going to have a special where I still have it right here. I do. I am going to be reading this lovely book to y'all. I mean, it's in book form. The Declaration of Independence. So we're just going to have a lovely little discussion because next Thursday is July 4th, the day of our independence, kind of the day we celebrate our independence. So stay tuned for that. And then the week after that, I will pick up on the next film that we all collaborate and decide upon. So look out for the polls on my YouTube channel here, as well as on Twitter. So follow me on all the socials. Follow Dom on his socials, which is a pain in the butt. Dominic24 with ones for eyes.
Yeah.
On Twitter. Is there anything you want to plug before we head out for the day?
I guess just follow me on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, like she said, Dominic. But instead of I, put 1, Dominic24. I guess other than that, I'm looking forward to Denver.
Yeah.
Exciting to see.
Clinton, are you going to be there? You should let me know. He kind of lives close. Next week is Fan Expo Denver, so going to be fun to see a couple G&G people there as well as the Rippaverse. So I'm super excited. And you guys will see my cosplay if I can get it finished in time. Life has been a little hectic, so.
Can you spoil it?
No, I'm not going to spoil it. Never. Always has to be a surprise. But anyway, you guys, I appreciate you so much. It's been great reading this book with you, and I can't wait to start the next one, as well as the Constitution and Declaration of Independence for next week's special. So you guys have a great night. Don't forget to watch the debates. If you go to Static 2020's channel on YouTube and Rumble and Twitter and all those fun places, I will be on that. It started probably 5 minutes ago, as well as Dermy Wormy. He is also streaming it and on the same panel. So check us out there, guys. Bye.
Bye, everybody.